Last week, HPE formally announced that it was acquiring the SD-WAN startup Silverpeak for just under $1 billion. They plan to integrate that into their well-established Aruba business unit and use the SD-WAN tech to further build out their edge services network. The move makes a lot of sense for HPE and gives the folks at Silverpeak a nice exit. But the move also marks the transition, or really the end of it, for SD-WAN that really started back in 2017. Since that time, SD-WAN has gone from an emerging technology to a virtual networking staple, no pun intended. So when did SD-WAN go corporate? Now, this video isn't setting out to break down why HPE bought Silverpeak specifically. For that, you need to check out the Gestalt IT rundown from July 15th. Tom Hollingsworth and I did a pretty good job of getting that all straight. Instead, I wanted to talk today about the disappearance of the so-called big independent pure-play SD-WAN players over the past several years. The term SD-WAN, for a network abstracted from its hardware using a virtualized network overlay, started getting thrown around all the way back in 2014. For the next few years, there were three pretty clear distinctions for SD-WAN providers on the market. First, you had your existing network infrastructure giants who were adapting to this new paradigm. Cisco came out pretty early with an SD-WAN solution with IWAN, although being early in this case didn't exactly mean Cisco had a market-leading product. For these incumbents, SD-WAN was a natural extension of their ubiquitous network presences. The next category would be what I would call SD-WAN pivoters. These were companies that were in adjacent fields, things like WAN optimization or network security, looking to make a play in the market. I'm thinking of folks like Riverbed and Fortinet kind of fitting into this category as an example. While infrastructure companies saw SD-WAN as filling out their catalog, the pivoters I think saw SD-WAN more of an evolution of their existing solutions, hence why you see a few more different approaches in this space. Finally, you have the pure-play SD-WAN companies, the emerging startups that were founded to disrupt traditional networking in the space. And there are still a lot of startups working as pure-play SD-WAN players, but some of the most well-funded and stocked with talent were Viptela, VeloCloud, CloudGenix, and Silverpeak. The first to go corporate was Viptela, getting acquired by Cisco in May 2017 for $610 million. This raised a lot of eyebrows and said how competitive Cisco saw its IWAN solution against the pure-play competition. This gave Cisco a cloud-first SD-WAN solution that offered sophisticated segmentation support needed by service providers and large enterprises. Since then, Cisco has done a good job of rolling out support for Viptela's SD-WAN across routers running iOS XE. On the surface, it left them with a bit of a mess of overlapping solutions with IWAN, Viptela, and Meraki's cloud managed networking if you want to throw that in there, but Cisco has kept the messaging on track and fairly clear, I think. Soon after that was VeloCloud, which was bought by VMware later in 2017 for $450 million. This furthered VMware's networking ambitions, which first got into it with the Nicira acquisition all the way back in 2012. The VeloCloud acquisition, though, seems squarely focused on the company's strength, which was service providers. VeloCloud already had 50 service provider partnerships in place at the time of acquisition and delivered their SD-WAN appliances as a virtual network function on universal customer premises equipment commonly used by those clients. These acquisitions seem not just to validate SD-WAN as a technology, but ensured that they would be integrated on a very fundamental level across the networking stack. Both Cisco and VMware further invested in, or at least hedge against, the emerging tide of the disaggregated data center. CloudGenix's acquisition came several years later than the other two blockbuster deals we mentioned, getting swallowed up by Palo Alto Networks earlier this year for $420 million. This acquisition felt more like Palo Alto seeing SD-WAN as a logical extension of their secure access services edge. I'd put in the SD-WAN pivoter category, even though Palo Alto has been working on that for a while. If you want to get a deep dive though into SASE, be sure to check out the Conversation episode where Tom Hollingsworth broke down the entire category. Definitely worth a watch. HPE's acquisition of Silverpeak could be seen much in the same light, given that the team will be integrated into the Aruba SD Edge portfolio. But given how much more HPE paid for the company, Silverpeak's already sizable customer base, and their very mature SD-WAN stack, I imagine Aruba has much more ambitious plans for Silverpeak than just a pure SASE play, although surely a part of it. There are still a ton of SD-WAN startups out there to be sure, but Silverpeak's acquisition seems like a passing of the torch. they might be the last pure-play SD-WAN networking stack out there. This makes sense as we've seen SD-WAN mature from just a way to connect branch offices to headquarters together over a software-defined network to include much more specific use cases like cloud on-ramps or as a component of an overall edge security system. In this way, SD-WAN has become an important feature across other networking categories, but probably has a harder time operating as a standalone product. And when it comes to features, it's not surprising to see companies like Cisco, VMware, or Palo Alto Networks who'd rather buy than build. Hey, thanks for watching this episode of Checksum. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the Gestalt IT YouTube channel to get new videos in your feed every week. And let us know, of these 4 blockbuster SD-WAN acquisitions, which do you think will have the biggest impact in the long run? See you in the comments. Can't wait to hear from you.